I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe.
Introduction. The 18th of May 1927 remains engraved in the annals of American history as one of its most tragic moments, particularly within the context of the education system. On this day, the small town of Bath, Michigan, was thrust into an unwanted spotlight, becoming the site of the deadliest school massacre the United States had witnessed up until that point, and, regrettably, it still holds that grim title. Orchestrated with a malevolence hard to fathom, the mastermind behind this catastrophe was Andrew Kehoe, a disgruntled school board treasurer whose grievances led him down a path of destruction. The Bath school bombing, as it came to be known, stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the profound impact of individual actions on community well-being. It was not merely an isolated incident of violence but a critical juncture that underscored the vulnerabilities present in school safety measures and forced a national introspection on the roots of human despair and its potential to devastate. This video aims to provide a comprehensive analysis of the events leading up to that fateful day, a detailed examination of the bombing itself, and an exploration of its immediate and far-reaching aftermath. Furthermore, we will delve into the broader implications the tragedy had on societal norms, safety protocols, and policy adjustments, seeking to understand how a calamity of such magnitude could reshape the collective consciousness and the measures taken to prevent future tragedies. Through this exploration, we aim to honor the memory of those lost and reflect on the lessons that such a dark day in history teaches us about the importance of vigilance, compassion, and proactive policy-making in safeguarding our communities. The prelude to tragedy. Andrew Kehoe, a figure known in his community for a dual identity, was primarily recognized as a farmer and served with some prominence as the local school board treasurer. His reputation was one of contrasts. On one hand, he was esteemed for his capabilities as a skilled electrician, a trade that distinguished him among his peers. On the other, Kehoe was notorious for his contentious nature, particularly in matters of finances. His frequent confrontations regarding taxes and his struggles with indebtedness were well known within the circle of his acquaintances. Kehoe's financial situation was further aggravated by what he perceived as financial mismanagement on a community scale, particularly in relation to the local educational infrastructure. The town had embarked on an ambitious project to construct the Bath Consolidated School, a development that, while heralded by many as a step forward for the community, became a source of profound grievance for Kehoe. The financing of this educational initiative was heavily reliant on taxes from the local populace, taxes that Kehoe deemed not just burdensome, but exorbitant. His view was not solely focused on his personal financial contribution but also on a principled stance against what he considered to be an unreasonable imposition on the community's financial resources. The financial distress that squeezed Kehoe was not a matter of fleeting concern but a deepening quagmire that seemed to consume him. The burden of the taxes for the school, coupled with his existing indebtedness, set him on a path of growing desperation and anger. His discontent was not silent. It was a smoldering grievance that became increasingly focused on a singular target: the local school administration. To Kehoe, they were not just the architects of what he saw as a flawed financial endeavor but the embodiment of a systemic injustice that he felt compelled to confront. It was within this crucible of financial strain, personal indebtedness, and escalating anger that Kehoe began to devise a plan. This was not to be a mere protest or a campaign for fiscal reform but a dark and destructive scheme that reflected the depths of his despair and his mounting animosity towards the institution he blamed for his plight. The precise motivations and the full scope of his intentions were perhaps known only to Kehoe himself, but the groundwork was being laid for an event that would etch May 18, 1927, into the annals of American history as a day of tragic infamy. The stage was set for a catastrophe that would shock the community to its core, a direct outcome of Kehoe's festering grievance and his catastrophic plan coming to fruition. The bombing. The horrific event known as the bombing refers to a meticulously planned act of violence executed by Andrew Kehoe, motivated by a sinister agenda against the Bath Consolidated School. At the heart of this malicious scheme was the planting of a series of explosives with the intention of causing maximum devastation. Kehoe's intricate knowledge of the school's layout allowed him to identify and exploit strategic points for planting these bombs, ultimately aiming for the complete destruction of the facility. In the chilling calm of the morning on May 18th, the first signs of Kehoe's dark plot came to fruition. An initial explosion tore through the north wing of the school, an area primarily occupied by the youngest of its attendees, covering kindergarten through 6th grade. The explosion was not just an attack on the physical structure of the building but a direct assault on the innocence and lives contained within its walls. The impact of this explosion was heartbreakingly catastrophic. It claimed the lives of 38 children, whose day began with the promise of learning and discovery, only to be tragically cut short. In addition to these young lives lost, several adults, including dedicated teachers who had committed their lives to nurturing and educating the next generation, were also among the fatalities. The aftermath of the explosion plunged the community into a state of profound shock and turmoil. Parents, frenzied with fear and anxiety, rushed to the scene, desperate for any news of their children. Emergency responders and volunteers quickly gathered, forming a united front against the tragedy. Together, they embarked on a relentless and heart-wrenching mission to rescue any survivors still trapped within the rubble and to retrieve the bodies of those who had perished. The school, once a place of learning and laughter, had transformed into a site of unspeakable horror and loss, leaving an indelible mark on the community and the nation as a whole. This dark day in May became a pivotal moment of mourning, reflection, and eventual healing for the town. The collective efforts of the community to come to terms with the magnitude of the tragedy, to honor the memories of those lost, and to rebuild both the physical and emotional landscape of Bath, would be remembered for years to come. The bombing not only highlighted the vulnerabilities and potential dangers present within public institutions but also underscored the strength and resilience of communities in the face of unimaginable adversity. The story of the tragedy unfolds with a chilling revelation that adds a deeper layer of horror to the already harrowing event. The rescuers, who had rushed to the scene with the hope of saving lives, were unaware that the perpetrator, Kehoe, had laid out a meticulously planned sequence of events that extended far beyond the initial atrocity. Before enacting the school bombing that would come to be known as one of the most heinous acts of the time, Kehoe committed an act of cold-blooded murder by taking the life of his own wife. This brutal act was not just a singular instance of violence but a calculated step in a grander scheme of evil that Kehoe had devised. To further obscure his malevolent intentions and eliminate any potential evidence of his sinister plans, Kehoe deliberately set his own farm on fire. The inferno he ignited was meant to consume not just the physical structures on his property, but also any trace of the plotting and planning that had taken place within those confines. The blaze served as a smokescreen for his subsequent actions, ensuring that the authorities would be hard-pressed to piece together his motives and methods. But Kehoe's campaign of terror was far from over. In a final, devastating move, he transformed his vehicle into a lethal bomb by packing it with an explosive payload and an abundance of shrapnel designed to inflict maximum casualties. With a mindset warped by whatever twisted motivations drove him, Kehoe steered this makeshift bomb on wheels directly to the school, showing a complete disregard for human life. Upon arriving at the scene, where bystanders were gathered, possibly in confusion or in an attempt to aid the victims of the initial bombing, Kehoe detonated the vehicle. This detonation resulted in a catastrophic explosion that not only annihilated the vehicle but also claimed the lives of numerous additional innocent people who were in the vicinity. Kehoe, consumed by his own fervor for destruction, perished in the explosion, adding his name to the list of those killed in the horrifying series of events he had orchestrated. This final act of destruction served as a grim punctuation to Kehoe's campaign of terror, leaving a community in mourning and a nation in shock. The calculated brutality of his actions, marked by the premeditated murder of his wife, the deliberate arson of his property, and the callous attack at the school, revealed a level of malevolence that is difficult to comprehend. Through these acts, Kehoe not only aimed to inflict physical harm but also sought to instill a lasting sense of fear and despair within the heart of the community, leaving scars that would endure long after the flames had been extinguished and the debris cleared. The consequences. The catastrophic event known as the Bath School bombing plunged the close-knit community into a profound abyss of despair and mourning, leaving behind a stark landscape of emotional and physical devastation. In the wake of this appalling act of violence, the community was forced to come to terms with the loss of 45 precious lives, among whom 38 were innocent children whose futures were mercilessly snatched away. This calamity did not merely inflict pain on the families of the victims. It reverberated widely through the very foundations of the small rural community, eroding the sense of security and normalcy that its residents once took for granted. The magnitude of the tragedy transcended local boundaries, touching hearts and provoking reactions across the nation. In the days and weeks following the bombing, a remarkable wave of solidarity emerged from all corners of the United States. Individuals, organizations, and governments rallied to extend their support, channeling resources, condolences, and aid to assist the beleaguered town in navigating the arduous journey towards physical and emotional recovery. This nationwide outpouring of support served as a testament to the collective empathy and humanity that tragedies, as dire as this, often engender. Nevertheless, the profound scars left by this event did not heal with the passing of time. Families were irrevocably altered, haunted by the absence of their loved ones, while community members struggled with the psychological aftermath of such an unprecedented assault on their collective well-being. The bombing also precipitated a critical reevaluation of school safety and emergency response protocols across the United States. Communities everywhere were awakened to the vulnerabilities in their midst, prompting a fervent quest to bolster the safety and security of educational institutions. Legislation, policies, and drills focused on preparing schools to manage and mitigate the risks of similar threats became more prevalent, embedding the lessons learned from the Bath School tragedy into the fabric of national consciousness. In essence, the aftermath of the Bath School bombing was a period of profound grief and transformation. It served as a grim reminder of the fragility of life and the imperative of community and national resilience. The tragedy reshaped how the community and the nation at large perceived and approached the safety of the youngest and most vulnerable members of society, ensuring that the memories of those lost would inform efforts to prevent such a catastrophe from ever occurring again. Impact and legacy. The Bath School bombing that took place in 1927 marks a pivotal moment in the history of educational institutions, forcing a nationwide reevaluation of the measures in place designed to ensure the safety and security of school environments. This tragic event, which shockingly claimed the lives of innocent children and adults, served as a wake-up call, underscoring the urgent need for comprehensive emergency preparedness plans within educational settings. Despite not being widely known or frequently discussed in the annals of American history, the bombing is a grim precursor to numerous subsequent acts of violence that have plagued schools across the United States. Its enduring legacy is multifaceted, shaping foundational approaches to bolstering community resilience in the face of adversity, underscoring the critical importance of early mental health intervention, and shedding light on the catastrophic outcomes that can arise from unresolved grievances. Through the lens of this tragedy, essential lessons about the complexities of human behavior, the capacity for unforeseen violence, and the imperative need for vigilance and preventive measures in safeguarding educational environments have been learned. Conclusion. The Bath School bombing serves as a profoundly sobering reminder of the catastrophic effects that the actions of a single disturbed individual can have on an entire community, particularly its most vulnerable members, the children. Nearly a century removed from this harrowing event, its memory lingers as a stark testament to the ongoing necessity of maintaining a high level of vigilance, possessing a deep understanding of mental health issues, and rigorously implementing stringent safety protocols within our schools. The tragedy that unfolded in Bath, Michigan, in 1927, though nearly 100 years in the past, continues to echo through the corridors of time, serving as a haunting reminder of the heavy cost of inaction, the need for relentless commitment to ensuring the safety of educational spaces, and the profound importance of fostering a sense of community and empathy. In the shadow of such despair, the spirit of resilience, the pursuit of understanding, and the implementation of informed, proactive safety strategies stand as the cornerstones upon which we can hope to prevent the recurrence of such tragedies and honor the memory of those whose lives were lost.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.